Listen to the Tommy Schnurmacher Show, live weekdays 9 to noon on CJAD 800 and CJAD.com.
Most homeowners have something called a home equity line of credit. While it might seem like a good idea, it's an easy way to get extra cash for a remodel, for unseen expenses, for vacations, pay for a wedding, all kinds of things. But it will help you sink deeper into debt. And yes, you actually do have to pay it back. You can't just borrow more and then pay that back. Lump it in with your other bills, and you might find yourself overwhelmed with your monthly financial obligations. And my next guest has some definite opinions on how and why people use the home equity lines of credit, and she continues to help people try to get out of the financial hole. We welcome money coach Lama Ferran, who joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Tommy.
Now, what's the reason that most people take out a home equity line of credit?
First of all, the bank pushes it, right? You go to the bank, and most of the time, the person sitting behind the desk is going to advise you that a line of credit is going to be good for you because it has a low interest rate. It's between 3 and 4%. It's variable, but it's really the lowest interest rate you can get out there. So you're like, oh, wow, that's great. And the other thing that they're going to tell you is it's going to require very minimal monthly payments because it's only the interest that you have to reimburse every single month. So you're looking at this, and of course, you trust your bank and you trust their advice, and you say, hey, okay, I want one of those. So usually people take it also because they don't have an emergency fund, and it acts as an emergency fund. It makes you a bit lazy to work and have some savings because you say, okay, if something comes up, hey, I have a line of credit I can use, no problem. I can bail myself out.
And also, when there's anything you want to buy, you can just buy it on the line of credit.
Exactly. Or if you're lacking cash in your account, you log into your online account and you go transfer from your line of credit to your bank account, and suddenly you feel rich.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, do people forget that they eventually, at some point, it does have to be paid back?
Yes, they forget because the bank is not asking you for it. They're saying, you know what, when you feel like it and when you do, and if you do, you can pay it back. If not, don't worry about it. Just keep paying us the interest every month, and you don't have to worry about the principal. And we know that people lack financial discipline. And when nobody is there forcing you to pay the principal, you never do.
So what are some examples you've seen of people who've used it properly, and some examples of people who've abused the home equity line of credit?
Okay. Unfortunately, I've seen more people abusing it than using it properly. But I'll give an example of using it properly. It could be to use as a down payment for you to buy a rental property, right? If you want this extra income, but you're not sure where the down payment is going to come from, you can use the equity in your existing home to buy a rental property. So for investment purposes, it could be something good. It's not good when you go to, the Bahamas in the middle of December, and it costs you $6,000 the week, and you come back, you're like, how am I paying for this thing? Okay, I'll just dump it on the home line of credit. So basically, you're mortgaging your house to go on vacation, which is kind of scary when you think about it.
But basically, the banks don't care. I mean, they're getting the interest, and since it is against your home, they are going to get their money back. They're not worried at all.
Exactly. Not only they don't care, they want you to use it. It's a very profitable product for them because the principal is always there. You're never paying it down. So they're just getting their interest every single month after month. So they're happy if you use it. They're not happy with me who has it down at zero because it doesn't give them anything.
Now, what is the current rate of interest for a home equity line of credit?
It's variable. So it's prime plus maybe half or plus one max. So in prime, it's 3%. So you can get it at 3.5 or 4%. And we know that prime hasn't moved since, 4 years almost. And so people are not really feeling the pinch of the interest rates going up right now because it's still been stuck at 3 for the past 4 years.
Is there a limit to how much somebody can borrow?
It's 80% of your home value. So if you have a $500,000 home, you can go get it up to $400,000.
That's without if you don't have a mortgage.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
If you have any questions, Lama Ferran, my guest, what advice do you have for people who have made that mistake and they're looking at their home equity line of credit, and it's very, very high?
Well, first of all, you really have to start facing your situation. You have to get your head out of the sand and look at where is your money going every single month and how are you going to find the extra money to pay down your principal. Even if it's going to take you 15 years or 20 years, whatever it is, but just have a plan of how much am I willing to put down on the principal every month, whether it's $200 or $500 or whatever it is, whatever fits in your budget.
When people come to you for help, what's your most common issue?
Oh, debt, definitely debts. Debts, and the major thing is I don't know where my money is going. It's like this big mystery of my paycheck comes in and I don't know what happens to it.
And how do you help them solve that problem?
First of all is the tracking. Tracking is really important. Until you put down in writing where every dollar is going, you're still not going to know where your money is going, right? Everybody knows that they have a certain amount for mortgage, for their cell phone, for insurance, but all the other amounts, they're very, very unclear in people's head. And tracking is the number one tool that you can use to start putting some clarity into your situation.
Do people underestimate how much they're spending if they're not doing this tracking?
Yes. And once they do, and I do the exercise with them, and they look at the deficit at the end of the month, they're like, oh my God, that's why I have to dip into my line of credit every month. But I put a very, when they see it black and white, I'm in red for $1,000 every month or $500, then we can work it backwards and say, okay, what are we willing to cut down and where in order to be able to bring that deficit to zero or hopefully to a surplus.
This texter wants to know, we're about to endeavor trying a small house expansion renovation. Our mortgage is up for renewal in August. We're thinking that we would add the amount, $70,000, to our new mortgage through refinancing. The bank is trying to convince us to use home equity line of credit. I wasn't looking to have two places to pay. Any thoughts? I hate multiple areas of debt.
Well, are the renovations really essential? Does she really have to go up to $70,000, or is just because the bank is telling her you have the possibility of getting that much? And second reason, if it is necessary, what is your plan to pay down the $70,000? As I said, the bank is not going to ask you to pay back the principal. How are you going to fit in your budget to pay that $70,000, and what's the deadline you're giving to yourself to pay it back?
When we expand this discussion from a general discussion to the economy, people are living not on the money they earn. They're living on borrowed money.
Exactly. I mean, Statistics Canada came up with the figure last year, and they said for every $100 that Canadians make, they have $163 of debt. Basically, we're forever spinning our wheels because your income is only $100 and you're spending $163.
And I guess people are also counting on it. The price of real estate will go higher forever. That'll always go higher and higher and higher.
For sure, yeah.
So that you'll be able to pay off all of this home equity line of credit and still have money left over.
Well, if you keep increasing your home line of credit as your house goes up and you use it, you're not going to have much left at the end, that's for sure.
This one says, what if I, well, there's lots of texts coming in. We'll get to as many as we can. My guest is Lama Farhan. She is a money coach. Her website, maxworth.ca. My guest is a money coach, Lama Farhan. What exactly does a money coach do, Lama?
Well, the main difference between what I do and a financial planner does is I don't sell any actual products. So when I sit down with my clients, I look at their spending habits, we work out a budget, we see what's the state of their debts, how we can set up a plan to get out of debt. And I work in general about, to improve their money management skills. So it's really about the behaviors more than me sitting down and advising you on a certain product. I don't do products.
This texter wants to know, is it a good idea to borrow the line of credit money to put into an RRSP?
It's called leveraged investment. Now, there are RSP different level of risk aversion, and he might be okay with it, and another person might not sleep at night because of that.
This one says, what if I borrowed 80% against my house, invested all of that into mutual funds at 5%, and that amount of money I make that offsets the interest from the 80% loan, and I'm still profiting? So essentially, I'm eternally in debt, but profiting every year until it's time for me to pay it off.
Well, that's similar to the question before. It's leverage investments, is borrowing to invest. Nothing guarantees this 5%. We saw it in 2008. Things went down maybe 10, 20%. So his 5% is, it is a possibility, but there's also the possibility of having minus 5%.
Oh, this one says, this texter is 36 years old. He writes, I'm 36 years old. I have a home equity line of credit. I was thinking of borrowing on it to invest heavily in mutual funds for the next 5 years, say $1,000 per month. Your thoughts?
Same thing as the other ones.
It's still the same risk?
The mutual fund is not guaranteed, right? So are you okay with your mutual fund going down, and on one hand, and on the other hand, you're paying interest on that loan?
Right,
If
but I
you're
mean,
okay
he's not doing it for the whole house. The other one was doing 80% every.
Yeah, that's kind
everything.
of yeah.
This is $1,000 a month.
Yeah, we're talking. I mean, if the market crashes, you lose your investments and your house.
Right,
Are you
but
okay
in
with
this
it?
case, he's only losing some of the
$1,000 a month. It also depends on his income. Is it going to be?
And also, it wouldn't go to zero. I mean, there's not much chance of the mutual fund going from $1,000 to zero.
No, that's right. But hey, there's a risk. Mutual funds, like leverage investments, is a topic on its own. It depends on how you deal with risk. I wouldn't do it personally because I'm a risk averse person.
Peter on the line. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, what's your question?
Well, in reference to what your guest said about people not knowing where their money went, I use a debit card with the Bank of Montreal, and I probably pay with 95% of my things there. And on their website, you can find a list of everything that I've spent. So I know exactly where my money goes. And, of course, the key is don't spend money that you don't have.
All right, thank you very much for the call. So that's very good. I mean, it's money that you have. It's not on credit. It's coming out of your bank account, and you have a list of exactly where you spent it. Is that good?
Yeah. What I would, I don't know what he's referring to, but is he, for example, adding up all the transactions from the groceries? Is he adding up all the transactions from Tim Hortons? Is he adding up per category?
Well, if he pays everything with debit card.
Yeah, I understand. But like if I ask him how much do you pay in coffees every month, does he know? If he's able to go back and add them up in a way, then he tells me, you know what? Yeah, I know I spend $100 on coffees every month. I'll be like, okay, are you okay with it? Right? Or is there any changing to your behavior that we can do?
Okay, this is very interesting. This says, would you consider investing in the banks to be a risk at 5%? Because the way I look at it, if the banks were ever to fail, I'd have a lot more problems than just the 80% against my house that I borrowed to invest if the bank just failed.
Well, the truth is a lot of mutual funds that you buy, a big chunk of it is invested in the big banks. So they're very good investments to make. They make money, and every single quarter they break their record profit quarter after quarter. So yes, the banks are a very good investment to make, unfortunately.
You're going to like this one. This text, it says, but society tells us to spend money we don't have to impress people we don't like.
Yeah.
very, very true. Your questions for our money coach, Lama Farran, her website, maxworth.ca. Text your questions to 514-800. My guest is Lama Farran. She is a money coach. Her website, maxworth.ca. Have you encountered situations where somebody is trying to put some money away in their savings? Maybe they've put some money into a Tangerine and they're getting their 1.3% or until the end of July, 2.5%. They're very happy about the fact they're saving money. Mm-hmm. In the meanwhile, they have, let's say, $3,000 or $4,000 saved, and they've got $5,000 debt on a credit card at 18%. What would you tell them?
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't tell them to take the whole amount that they have saved and put it on the line of credit, because that amount they saved, it could be their emergency fund. So if something comes up, if the car breaks tomorrow, if the roof collapses, and they have that money set aside, it's not necessarily a bad thing because they could use it to deal with the emergency versus going and putting more money on their line of credit at 18%. So what I have a problem with is when you have like $20,000 in savings and a huge balance on your credit card. But having a small portion in savings is actually a good thing. This is the emergency fund that I always talk about.
But the emergency fund, if they paid down the entire $3,000, they'd have zero on their credit card at 18%. They'd be saving 18% interest. And if emergency came up, then they could use the credit card again because it's paid off.
The thing is, this strategy is more psychological. It's based on psychology more than actual math. The psychology of it is that, you know, an emergency came up and I was able to deal with it without digging deeper into my debts. See what I mean? So psychologically, you feel better about yourself. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense.
This one says, isn't a credit card exactly what it's for, emergencies?
No, an emergency fund is for emergencies.
All right.
Credit card is just for the bank.
All right, this one, Peter in Point Claire says, after reading Dave Ramsey, The Total Money Makeover, I've learned that cash is king and debt is dumb. And I live debt-free, and I'm now on the cash-only plan, so much less stressful.
Oh, yeah, I love that book. I always recommend it. It's really, I mean, actually what I just mentioned before about having a little emergency fund on the side, although you have debts, it's something that Dave Ramsey preaches a lot about.
What if a solution, if someone has no credit cards to spend, everything is maxed up, and they're not able to take a line of credit? What could you do to help?
This is where we have to look at your income coming in and where is it going out and how can we find the funds from the money coming in to start paying down your debts, even if it takes you 20 years, as long as you have a plan on how to pay it down.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800, CJAD.com.